Welcome back to Contesting the Point, the show where two of your favorite CDL personalities argue over my opinions of the biggest stories coming out of competitive Call of Duty. This week, I'm joined once again by Maven and MerK. How's it going, guys? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Feel good. Yeah.
I'm dressed for LA.
Yeah, we're ready for LA. Yeah.
I'm really festive right now.
Yeah, you're dressed for a vacation after you go 0-2. But here we are.
What was that? What is that?
I don't know what that was.
Are you cold?
No. I'm actually quite hot. I have no explanation.
He's just fired up.
Yes, I am.
You ready to go? You ready to go? You ready to win this? All right.
Four cups of coffee just to get through the show.
So in case you guys are new to the show, this is how it works. I'm going to break down 3 major storylines in the CDL. I'll offer up my hot take on each of these stories, and it's up to our guests to attack and defend my position. As the guests debate, I'll award points for convincing arguments. Whoever has the most points after 3 topics will get 60 seconds to pop off in the Astro Listen Up moment. That sound good to you guys?
Sounds great.
Sound excellent?
Glorious.
Since we have the LA home series coming up, it only makes sense that we talk about the battle for LA. We got the LA Gorillas and Optic Gaming LA who are going to be doing battle this weekend. So my first hot take is the LA Gorillas will beat the Optic Gaming LA squad. Maven, I know you're a bit of an Optic Gaming LA apologist, or maybe supporter is a better word to say. So
I believe.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you defend this hot take this time, Joe.
I'm going to defend it. I'm going to defend the heck out of it. I'm going to open things up of, hey, guess which team has CDL points and which one doesn't. It's the Gorillas. And I mean, when you look at this Gorillas roster from top to bottom, you know that there's a lot of talent there. And they had one weakness, and that was Aches, right? He just wasn't playing well. He had like the worst KD back-to-back events. And we talked about it. They had a potential superstar on their bench, a young gun in Blastful who has great chemistry with Decimate. If you watch that London series, Aqua, the main AR for their team, played much better at a 1 point, like 1-4 throughout the weekend, and they've been competitive. When you look at that opening weekend, they could have beaten Minnesota, who a lot of people think is one of the best teams. Then, well, guess what? They also beat Florida, who was just in a grand final. So it feels like the Gorillas, they have the pieces to do so. The weak spot is gone, and Blastful, he's going to step up.
I love the points. That's going to be a really hard one to attack. I mean, speak up for the green wall.
Come on.
I do not care about the toilet bowl. The only reason we are even talking about these two teams is because we're in Los Angeles. If this was any other event, no one cares. They've both been horrible. And Joe, yes, Blast, yay. I think we both agree that this needed to happen eventually.
Yeah, no, it happened.
But do you think that Blast, he's probably, we've talked so many about these young superstars that have come in and filled needs immediately with your Celliums, your Simps, like BZs, all these guys that came in at 18 and made a difference. Blast is like the one guy that hasn't yet, right?
I mean, he's been on some solid teams.
But he is one that has not like come in, made an immediate impact, and taken a team to a championship. Joe, as much as you want to put in with Blast replacing Aches, would this team have been better with you on it than Aches?
Potentially. I think I got a pretty good AR shot. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, they definitely probably would have been. Aches was not playing well, but I'm just not completely sold on Blast coming in and fixing this. Now, to be fair, we've seen nothing really from Optic and nothing really from Gladiators, I don't know who they are, the Gorillas, to tell us that they are going to be top teams. But at least if you look at Optic, they're making the change with Dashy now going to a sub, which I think needed to happen earlier because he has some of the best gun skill of any player in the entire league. The MP5 is one of the greatest guns in the history of Call of Duty. Put it in the man's hand, let him get twisted and see what he can do.
Except he doesn't want to run it.
But I still think that might be the difference putting Slasher back in his natural role where he is one of the best ARs of all time. I think they can improve behind that. And as much as we're knocking Optic, they've lost to what? FaZe, Huntsman, and Paris, and Florida. Like, they've lost to 4 top teams.
That's a good point.
Florida, they played Florida really tough. Do I think Optic are good yet? No. Do I think they're good enough to beat the Gorillas? I sure as hell do.
Yeah, well, your Florida point, the Gorillas beat Florida. So, and again, when you look at this
they
Gorillas
didn't beat
roster...
Florida, yeah, but Florida was not the same team. They did not play the same way. They just played the recent event here.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is this. When you look at this Gorillas lineup, you know that there is a lot
I don't like any of it!
It's a good individual lineup, though, right? Like, there is skill. Like, they can compete and slay with the best teams. They can. No, they can.
No.
They have. And now that they've dropped their weakling for Blast, and yes, he doesn't have to be crazy. You made the point. The pressure isn't on him. They were not doing well.
Those are all players that no other teams wanted.
They were not doing well for the roster they had.
Do you think that stage fright can play a role for Blast?
No, not at all. I just don't think there's any pressure on him. All you have to do is play your game, and he's playing with some friends that he's wanted to play with and Decimate for a long time. It should be a good time for him.
I want to believe in him because I love players like Decimate. Like, there's some guys there I love. Aqua, I had fun following his career. I don't think they're any good. Don't.
Well, they have CDL points.
All right. They do have CDL points, but you know what? I still feel like there's a lot of question marks that surround the LA
There's a lot of question marks for Optic.
I know, but I feel like
all question marks for both teams, really.
There's lots of question marks.
Yes.
But I do feel like Maven really argued their case a little bit better, so I'm going to give this round to him. 5-4. Maven takes round 1.
Remember, this is the way it started last time, was I was down 1 and then I won the show.
Good one, Joe. But I'm not going to make the same mistake last time of going on a rant that gets me no points with topic number 2.
Okay.
Moving on to the next topic, since I already gave my predictions on who I felt was going to be winning the Battle of LA, I might as well give my predictions for the entire bracket. So in Group A, we have Minnesota, Seattle, Optic Gaming LA, and the LA Gorillas. On the other side in Group B, we have Atlanta, Florida, Dallas, and New York. My hot take this time around is that in Group A, we'll see Minnesota and Seattle come out, and in Group B, Atlanta and Dallas. I would like you to go on to defend once again, MerK, and tell me why I am right.
All right. Group B, Atlanta, Dallas. I think we all agree that that is probably going to happen. Group A is the interesting one for you. And, well, I mean, when you look at this, it's really around Seattle. Because those two teams, they're going to have to play each other in winners round 1 in that group, right? That means one of those teams is going to have to drop and win 2 series, which is, it's difficult to do. But if there's one team I think can do it, it is Seattle, right? I think Minnesota's going to get through this group. But I think Seattle, with their change, they end up putting Enable on the bench. They add Pander. Pander, by the way, he's been waiting for this moment, right? Him and Octane are best friends. And what is the one thing that you have said about Seattle that you have told their coach they have to do? You have to get their search and destroy to a 50% win rate. And I think with Pander, I think, yeah, add a little bit more S&D game into it. I think they can do it. There is world champions on this team. Octane at London was destroying. He was in Octane form. One of the best assault rifle players in the world, and then you're just waiting for guys like Slacked, like Karma to improve, and I think Pander can really help them all get on the same page.
All right, another point for that. I love it, I love it. Is there any teams in Group A that you can see potentially knocking Seattle or Minnesota off?
I don't know why I keep doing it to myself, but Optic Gaming. All right.
What?
This is the reason I'm sold on Optic coming out of this group.
Okay.
It is now panic time, do or die time. This is the event. They have to make it to a semifinal. They have to get points. They absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, need to do it. And I think you have a lot of players on that team that are going to perform better with pressure. I don't know that they felt a lot of pressure to this point just because they know it so early in the season. But here, with this group, the easiest group they're going to have, Optic have to do it. They have to, without question. And I think with that pressure on, they're going to perform. And then on the other side of it, Joe, I do agree with your sentiment that something needed to change with them because of Search and Destroy, because Seattle just looked bad. Yes, I do agree with you on Seattle, but we just don't know. It's such a big question mark for me. I don't know if it's going to be an improvement. Yes, it should improve in Search and Destroy, but we just haven't seen it yet. We have no idea. We have no scrims based on that to think they're going to get better in Search. The only logic is Enable was bad at Search, Pander might be good at Search. That's not enough for me to be sold on them actually doing it. I'm going to go with Optic. They played Florida very, very tough, and they just got to a grand final. Dashy switching to the sub, all the pressure that is on them, and all the champions you have on that team, they've all won tournaments. When the champion, or the pressure is on, some people perform better. And I think Optic, I think they know it. Like, I think they know they have to. They literally have to.
That's making a lot of good points.
I think the same, though. I think it's the same for Seattle. I think it's pressure time for these guys.
Who has 0 points, though?
Well, Optic Gaming, but I think for Seattle as well, they've been, I mean, one of the weaker teams in the league throughout this. And I think a lot of people are going to be like, are you sure this Pander for Enable was a good idea? Was this the roster move that we really needed? Is Pander going to be that guy? And I think this is the time for them. There is some pressure. They have to show that this was the right move because Enable, he's won championships. He's been a veteran. He was on the best team in the world last year.
But what do you feel better about? A team that wasn't at Atlanta and made a change and just has online practice to improve, or a team that's sticking together, making some role changes, and had the event to work out mistakes? Like, don't you feel like you had a little bit more to work with if you're Optic?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because if you look at the Atlanta final, the 2 teams that were in the grand final were the 2 teams that weren't at London.
Sure. Yeah, but they didn't make team change. They didn't make a roster change.
They've had enough time, though. It was after London. You're talking about role changes.
I think a roster change is
it's the same thing with a role change, and that's a week. You're giving them a week.
That's as big of a deal?
Yeah, it's the same thing as swapping in
I don't know if I agree
for the sub player.
I don't know if I agree.
Maybe they're on the same page of, hey, this is how we want to play. But that still changes the tempo of the game. That changes roles around. It's basically the same thing for me. I mean, and here's the thing. Seattle has had more time because they didn't attend Atlanta.
Okay, well, I have to argue the other side of this too, right? Do I need to argue both?
Yeah,
groups?
I mean, you go to Group B.
So if we talk about Group B, what you picked Atlanta and Dallas?
Atlanta and Dallas, for sure.
I'm going to go with Florida.
Florida?
Getting past Dallas because I got no reason. I don't believe it at all. I don't believe it at all.
You don't believe that? Okay.
No. I want to argue Florida because they were in a grand final. They can do it. But Dallas has literally only lost, 3 times to Chicago, once to FaZe. I think we all still agree Dallas is a top 3 team. I can't do it. Just give him a point.
All right. I mean, I'm not going to
give him a point.
I'm not giving Joe a point, but I'm going to dock you a point.
I like that.
For that. Yeah, you got to be docked a point.
I can't. I want to. I want to be able to argue Florida.
Yeah, it's just one of those things when you look at this group, like even for New York, we haven't touched on them much. Like they could potentially do it, but we haven't seen enough.
All right. Well, with that, Maven, you still take round 2. I can't. You know what? I do feel like Optic Gaming LA coming off of this Atlanta weekend, they have a little bit more data.
But you told me the Gorillas were going to beat them round 1. They're going to tilt after round 1 and lose again.
I feel like throughout the entire week, they can still come back based off of the points that Maven made. Maven made some good points.
Yeah, listen.
It's about arguing and contesting the points.
Yeah, some would say that maybe I was the former pro.
What?
When you see the insight that I bring to this, like some might think that I was the former Call of Duty pro.
Is Pac-Man paying you under the table? Like what's? I mean, they have 0 points, literally 0.
Listen, I'm gonna believe Optic Gaming. I'm going to believe until Monday rolls around after this event. And if you are still ass, I'm done believing.
Yeah.
So you're just going to give up after a few events, huh? When you know their road gets tougher, that's when you're going to give up?
This is
Great
the last,
fan here.
This is the last lifeline we can throw you. Optic Gaming LA, please show up.
They got to get to top 4. They got to get to a semifinal. If not, I think it might be actually one of the most disappointing rosters and performances in the history of Call of Duty esports.
Ooh, that's a hot take right there.
Based on all the talent on the team?
That's a hot take. All right, well, that puts our score right now. Maven 12, MerK at 9.
You're getting torched.
You know, we've been making a lot of predictions, but there's only one left right now, and that's the granddaddy of them all. Who's going to win the event? And the answer's pretty easy in my opinion. I think it's going to be the Atlanta FaZe. They've been smashing everyone. They look amazing. So, my hot take for this one, Atlanta will win back-to-back events and win LA. Since you've been on the attack quite a bit today, Maven, I'm gonna have you defend this one. Who do you think, man? What you think?
I'm gonna go ahead and defend that Atlanta FaZe are going to win this event. Similar like we talked about back at London, no FaZe, it was Huntsman's tournament to win, same scenario here. No Huntsman there, your top rival are not there, you need to go in and handle business. And if you take a look back at the last event in Atlanta, they lost 1 search, 1 dom, 1 hard point, otherwise clean. They don't really have a weakness is what's so terrifying about this team. And yeah, selling him 1 MVP, dropped like a 1.32, that was incredibly impressive. But we almost didn't even talk about what Simp was able to do. Simp is ridiculous. He reminds me of a young Scum. When you take a look at the top 10 KDs at the end of an event, there's 1 submachine gun player on there, maybe 2, floating in the top 5. It is Simp. He drops a 1.24 with MP5. That's like an AR stat line. The guy is ridiculous. Everyone was above a 1.0. They're strong in all modes. Their biggest competition is not there. There is not a single thing in the world that can convince me they're not going to win this event. So Joe, we can skip right to giving the points. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down 3.
Yeah.
This is going to be a tough one to attack.
He was the host of the show. You know what it is.
Yeah, it's tough to attack this one, but I'm going to go for it.
Go for it.
I'm going to go for it. Obviously, we saw what Chicago was able to do in London, and then they were tested. They were tested a lot, and it was similar to where they went to a Game 5. Well, FaZe, they went to a Game 5 against Minnesota. They showed that at times they can start off slow, and I believe that there is going to be a team that is going to be able to do it. When you look at maybe the teams that are attending this event, to me, there's 2. There's a Minnesota rematch if that happens, and there's the Dallas Empire. If they can play to their, top ability, then there's a chance, right? There's a chance. I don't fully believe it, but you just have to, the depth of this league is insane. We continue to talk about it, and with this format, with this single limb, you have 1 slow game on Sunday, your tournament is over. We saw that with Chicago and Atlanta.
I think there is part of me that could buy into how competitive it is. I agree with it. It's very competitive, but buy into maybe it being an off day from them. They come in not prepared. They're a little too amped from their Atlanta win. If it wasn't for the mentality I know Crowder and these guys have.
Yeah, I know.
I know how prepped he has them. I know the egos are not going to get in the way coming into this event. I know it's not going to be a lack of prep. I just don't have any worries. Where I had some worries, and I thought maybe there was some overrating happening, which we talked about last episode for Huntsman. I really don't feel that way about FaZe. And I'm not trying to like overgas them. They're really, really, really good.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people have talked about like different matchups and whatnot, right? With Dallas and Chicago, that obviously goes one way. Maybe there's a matchup with Dallas, right, where they just counter their play style. I don't know if that's a thing. We haven't seen them play too much yet, but maybe that is one thing where they can catch them. We talked about prep time. You have 2 veterans on that team in Crimsix and Clayster. I feel like if there's one team, obviously they can't focus on the finals against Atlanta, but if there's one team, they're gonna have a couple of pages on how they wanna go into the veto system going into that series. It is going to be the Dallas Empire.
I think what's interesting though is I like that point, but as much as I mentioned, they don't really have a weakness in the
Clint, I know. Mode. Yes, I know. They're the best. I know.
They don't have a weakness in a game mode, but like what's scary also is like I think when you talked about their matchup versus Huntsman, like they're not gonna be able to beat Semp Debeezy because they're the best sub duo in the game. It has to happen in AR. What we saw from Celium was ridiculous. Like at AR with Celium, he might be like the best player in the game, the best AR in the game. Like the kid's an unreal talent.
He's a flex too.
Where is like, well, yeah, it was with the M4 we saw a lot of the damage done. I just can't find a weakness right now, and that's why you're wrong and I'm right. And that point was tough for you to argue. I'm sorry.
I mean, it was tough. I'm going with the field, but I mean, the other thing is like I picked. I mean, talked on Celium. I picked him as my year MVP. So I believe in that kid, and I was happy with
I think he's arguing for me at this point.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing. He's arguing.
What am I supposed to do? I've already thrown it.
All right, well, Joe.
All right.
Answer me this.
Okay, answering.
All right, so we saw the Atlanta FaZe go down 0-2, and then they had the home crowd there to help them a little bit. I wouldn't completely give it to the home crowd, but do you think the atmosphere has anything to do with how these players perform? And the Atlanta FaZe not being in their home market this time, you think that might play a role in this, maybe?
I'll tell you what, Atlanta's going to have more fans than LA in LA. That's just how I feel. I don't know. I think Atlanta will be fine. Again, he sort of touched on it. Maybe
digging your hole deeper.
Maybe like if they match up against like an Optic, the fans are on their side. I just don't see it.
Have you seen those FaZe pop-up shops that happen in LA and New York? Yeah, there's a lot of FaZe fans in those places. So I'm not worried about the crowd. The crowd's probably behind them, like you said.
All right. Well, at the end of this round, I mean, it should be pretty obvious. I think at this point, who won that one? Maven had 7, which puts you at 19, and you had 4, Joe, which puts you at 13 overall.
I mean, listen. I'm happy we're building this confidence up. I'm glad we gave him that one. Eye to eye.
Do I strike you as someone that lacks confidence?
Yeah.
Okay. You see the shirt he's wearing?
Yeah. No.
Look at these guns, man. Like literally.
Basically, what I'm saying is,
curl 100 pounds. I'm like literally Martin.
We gave you all the easy ones this show. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
All right. Well, Maven, you are the victor this time. You get 60 seconds to pop off in our Astro Listen Up moment.
So as much as I spent time talking about how good FaZe is and I expect them to win this event, I have a message for the FaZe team. It's early, but there is potential here for something special with this team. Dynasty-like potential. You guys have so much talent. You're flawless across the board and great in every game mode. The only thing that can tear this team apart, it comes from the inside. You guys start winning, egos get in the way, somebody thinks they're better than the other. We've seen it happen with the likes of like an Optic Gaming, a Complexity, the Lakers. Like there becomes this like ego thing where people clash heads. If you guys can get past that, if you can listen to the wisdom of Crowder and just focus on the W's, don't worry about contracts, who's making more, who's making this, who's the better player, who's winning MVP. If you can ignore the and just focus on being the best team in the game, I really, truly feel there is something special here. You are all young. It's like the youngest roster in the league. There is a decade of Call of Duty for you guys to play. Focus on the W's.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this week of Contesting the Point. Thank you very much, MerK and Maven, for joining me. It was so much fun having you guys. And an honor. You guys are legends.
It's all right.
It was lovely. It was lovely seeing you
That's
guys.
the way it should end.
Yeah?
Between the greatest duo in the
Is this
history
when we're
of Call
done,
of
we
Duty.
retire?
Yeah, we're tied up. We'll leave it even.
I like
guys,
that.
You checked all the boxes.
Pretty sure we do the next two as well.
Well, guys, we'll see you very soon at the LA Home Series, and I'll be back next week.